The price tag you can put on that skill set is insane. There's projects that we've charged 100 grand for, and they've done like 5 days. This is our one-shot output. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you even ask it to do that?
No. I didn't ask it to do any of this type of stuff. It just figured it out. My prompt was like tiny, 2 sentences.
How long would the next site take to just copy and paste it?
If I click right-click, duplicate, 10 seconds, you're done. That's it. Just with a lazy approach, you're outdoing Reddit, TripAdvisor, with Wingstop's own brand. $0 paid on advertising, costing basically nothing to build. This is all the pages we're ranking number 1 for.
People don't realize that sites like TripAdvisor and Yelp have millions of pages that took billions of dollars of software engineering and a decade of grinding. It can be done for 99% less and 99% faster today. We go from idea to vibe coding to launching a directory business all over the course of this video. We talk about every tool, shortcut, and growth hack you would ever need to launch this type of online business. I don't know how to vibe code. We fix that. I don't have good design skills. I've got an answer for that. What if when I build one of these websites, I want to copy and paste it hundreds of times so I could have hundreds of different income sources? Yep, we cover that too. If you're looking for excuses to not launch your next business, then stop watching this video right now, because every single tool and tactic you would ever need is right here. Please enjoy.
My excitement couldn't be any greater. And then a few weeks later, it's even greater than that. It's just like a gift that keeps on giving. And I haven't, literally in 15 years of just building things, I've never, experienced a feeling like this as a entrepreneur. I just be able to be creative, have ideas, to have the tools at your disposal to be able to execute. It's just, so fascinating and satisfying as well at the same time.
It is. Yeah. So tell me about your directories and what made you want to start building those in the first place.
I started to just sort of build some sites out, and then I came across AI. And what became really interesting with AI was the fact that you can create these programmatic SEO pages. And what we mean by programmatic is effectively, if you think about a directory like TripAdvisor, every single URL, like there's thousands of URLs. So you have tripadvisor.com for every, /city. Then inside the city, you've got towns, and then towns, you've got, restaurants and bars and clubs or whatever you've got, it can go on forever. And no one is sitting there manually adding all these pages. Programmatic means that they're kind of just, created automatically just on the fly. And so AI enabled that to be very accessible for me, at least, where I could just say to myself, okay, well, if I can just create content and the content can also be generated by AI, then technically I don't have to spend all that time creating all this type of content. I could just create, thousands of web pages, send them into Google, and then get them to rank well. And so originally I did this with a recipe site, guiltychef.com.
Okay.
So I just built the app. We released the app, 20,000 downloads, real quick.
Unpaid downloads, paid, freemium?
Yeah, it was freemium. So we probably made, I think it was like $8,000 or something, maybe in the first week. It was like recurring revenue as well. So it was it was insane. I just, got obsessed with, programmatic SEO because of AI, and guiltychef.com was born. So this site now ranks, number 1 just globally for keywords. So if you just go to even if I go to an incognito tab and let's say I type in Wagamama crispy chili mushrooms recipe, you'll see Guilty Chef is number 1 right here, organic, above Pinterest, Instagram, all these videos, Reddit, we're right here. And you open that up, it takes you to our site, and you get to see the actual recipe and the directions. And all this content was just generated through AI effectively. So, the restaurants, the dishes, you can see there's a restaurant. So you open up a restaurant, then you have the restaurant and the restaurant name. And so basically this is where the SEO kicks in. If people search Burger King recipes, it will come up with this page. And so the idea for me, it was a simple idea, which was there's nowhere to find recipes inspired by the restaurants you love. You have some websites like that, but they're normally people that have cooked recipes at home and
they're not aggregated. There's not one website dedicated to that. Is that why it's called Guilty Chef? Because it's unhealthy, restaurant recipes mostly?
That's a good question. Guilty Chef, I can't remember where the name came from. I think
you probably just were looking for good domain names, and
no. I wasn't. That's the crazy thing about the SEO. That this has been the best performing SEO site of the 2 directories I'm going to show you, and the domain is nothing to do with it. And that's what's wild. Is people always think that you need a good. My next directory I'll show you is all about the domain name. But this one, it doesn't matter about a domain name. So especially if you're starting a directory, don't go crazy about a domain name. because it can just rank well so long as your content is structured just using the basic things that you need. And when I say basic things, those are things like, creating content, linking between the pages of your content, using schema. So this is schema.org is like something that a lot of people don't know about. But if you look at schema here, there's different types of schema you can have. And what schema is, it's a series of like properties that Google looks for on a web page to see if there's information about that. So for restaurants, it might look for opening hours, or it might look for price range or payment methods. And that determines the content.
The more boxes you check, like the higher likelihood you are of ranking.
Right. And so if you think about before AI, you'd have to, first of all, have a SEO strategist or someone who'd be like, this is what you need to do. Then you'd have to figure out, okay, well, which of these do I use? Then you have to go and, create the content. And then you got to have someone design the pages and develop them. So that's like a team of 4 or 5 people already. And so now with like Cursor and Claude Code, I just go straight into it and I just say, hey, create me a category for restaurants and just make it, compatible with, schema and include all the relevant properties I need. And it will just do it in like seconds. And so that was like, if you take that method and you multiply it by like, 100 or 1,000, you start to get like all of these pages of content. And even the content is generated by AI. And that's the other thing, is that people think that AI generated content can't rank in Google. They absolutely can. And in fact, this also ranks in LLM models as well. So ChatGPT and Claude will also pick up these recipes. If someone types in a certain recipe that I have on my site and you check the sources, you'll come up with my content before, some other, recipe site.
Yeah. People need to understand, like, people are asking questions on Google, and Google is in the business of giving them answers. Right? Yes. So if Google does not have enough answers to pull from, and some of the best ones or some of the only ones are AI generated, it's going to show them,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's too much like kind of opinion around whether sites rank or not, or, it will SEO work with AI. But I think like there's no better thing than like seeing it in action. So I'm sure for yourself, Chris, and even like myself, I like facts, right? And I feel like as a builder, I want to just see it for myself, right? Because there's plenty of opinion out there. And so building a directory, this was a way of me seeing, okay, well, can it actually work? It's like all the things I'm building and doing, all the iterations are just like me, kind of poking at a curiosity I have, but also because I can now tap into AI, I can execute it so quickly that I can actually get a factual answer quicker than me scrolling through X looking at opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is an example of like the SEO. So the orange is organic growth. So this means that there's zero paid traffic. So I'm spending $0 on marketing on this site.
So this is guiltychef.com that you're showing me traffic.
Yeah, that's right. So Guilty Chef. Here.
What's the date we're looking at? Like August 2024 is when it starts ticking up.
Yeah. So this was like, I kind of like rebuilt the site around June. And so then Google started picking up, probably around August. And then look, we're just getting like 500, 600, 800,000. And then I don't know what this huge spike was here, by the way. I have no idea. Yeah. I've never figured that out, but there was a crazy spike here.
I think the most interesting part of this chart is the very middle between March and August 2024. You're adding pages, and not getting any feedback from Google. Nothing is showing you that it's working, but you're just persisting. All of a sudden in August, oh, sign of life. September, ooh. And then it's literally only up and to the right ever since. But like, that's why SEO is so important, is because you need to be willing to be patient, play the long game. And it's not like it's costing you anything, like $50 a month for certain tools, a little bit of your time. Other than that, like if you can be patient, now you're at how many visits organically per month?
Almost 11,000 now.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a paid side to the site as well, so people can also go on here and just like subscribe and generate their own recipes as well. So
there's only 160 pages on this site.
Yeah, there's not much at all on this site.
Jeez. Well, imagine if you had 16,000.
You know what? Again, it's my fault because I just get like I ran this as almost like experiment, and it like performed better than I expected, and I was like, okay, I've got to like.
I've done the same thing.
Yeah. So
real quick, please subscribe to my channel. I know it's kind of lame to ask, but it means a lot. Thanks.
By the way, Ahrefs just as a tool is a great tool to get. Like you get a free account on there, and you can just do keyword research. So you can go on like keyword research up here, Keywords Explorer, And so if you just want to start a directory in a certain niche, like you could just type in, I don't know, let's just say, recipes. Let's do something more niche. Let's say, toddler recipes. And you could search by different regions, but let's say, US, it will show you like what the search volume and trends look like, over a given period of time. And also what you want to look at here is like, how easy is that keyword to rank for, which means that, okay, well, this is kind of a broad keyword, which is pretty good. So if you can find the .com, which actually I own, toddlerrecipes.com as well.
Okay, good for you.
So yeah, but I haven't done anything with it yet. So nothing interesting yet. But there's but you can just see like there's so many recipes. And why I found this interesting is because there's all of these other long tail keywords. So like
smoothie recipes,
toddler recipes,
muffin recipes.
So you're seeing like now look at the volume, you're getting like 900 searches per month, 600 searches per month. And like if you can come up number one, they'll aggregate into like a decent audience. I'd really say like where this funnel becomes interesting, and I haven't even like taken it to this level yet with my site, is like traffic is one thing, but like email capture, Google Pixel, the amount of retargeting that's possible, even being able to, I could go into the ingredients side of my webpage and then have brands bidding or like people at Walmart bidding for like spots. So like people would click on, pepper and it connected the Walmart site for you to buy it, So when you start building in traffic, you hold the leverage. And I think that's the interesting strategic part of this type of business that I liked, is that, the traffic is yours, and so like it speaks for itself. And so you can really trade against that. It becomes a currency, and it can easily net you, even if it starts off being $500 or $600 a month, man, that's great. And then you can start growing that more and more and more and start to become something meaningful.
So you said you're also monetizing this. You have like a paid section of the site. How is that going?
Yeah, there's a paid section, but it's nothing crazy right now because we're not really pushing people towards it. But like you can go on here and you can just like build your own recipes basically and like pay. I can't
it's
even
just
how
a
much
wrapper.
it is now. Yeah. So it's just like, it's just Anthropic running in the background, just basically, running the recipe and just creating the recipe for you. So I can already see some bugs on it because I haven't even been on it in like, a few months. So yeah, but that's basically what it is.
Do you have ads on the site, or is it monetizing in any way, or is it you just letting it roll?
No ads right now. So it's probably revenue wise, I think it's probably just doing like maybe like $700-800 a month, something like that. Like it's nothing crazy, but it's still like, it's just still something cool. Just comes in for sort of organic traffic. So yeah, just like people who have, and a lot of, it's funny because a lot of the customers are those that have like signed up at peak times, like maybe around, holiday season. They're trying to look for recipes and they're paid like $5 or something to join the site, and the memberships are just running and they might not even be that active, but they're just in there. And, that's the other interesting thing about these type of businesses is that, if you create products that can get high volumes of traffic by very, low increments of revenue, people are willing to pay because it's just there and you're likely to capture them. And also if you start to increase your traffic and you get those people coming in, those $5 start adding up and, can become something meaningful.
Yeah. And now what tools did you use to build this site?
This was built in Webflow, but all of the sort of the AI components of it were built using Cursor. And so that Cursor, I think, can feel very daunting to people. So like I've got it open here, people can feel like this is like, just for programmers. And even I felt that way. And then when I actually went into it, really, it's just like, think of it like iMessage almost. If you can just talk, you can create. And actually the power lies in that those that are creative and can express their ideas, as opposed to those that are like technical. Like you don't have to be technical at all. And that's why I've set up, I've got a school community 5-day sprint. I've also got 5daysprint.com where you can go on here and just set up your project and it will just give you like a 1-line string. Like if you set your project up there like this, and you can just hit copy here, and you can go into, just open up Cursor, hit paste right here and hit enter. And this one line will set up your entire project for you. And so all you then have to go is go in there and just iterate the features that you want. But like the context of your project is all in there. And that's how I feel like we should be building, because there's so many interesting things that you can do with these projects, but you need a scaffolding, right? And so Guilty Chef is like, think of that as a scaffold, which I was able to then use myself to build bestdubai.com. So if you look, the sites are identical in terms of how they look, right? Look like even the search literally doesn't even move.
Both on Webflow?
These were both built, like visuals were built on Webflow, but all the functions and functionality were like through Cursor.
Okay. And
I just connected them into Webflow, yeah.
So you live in Dubai. What gave you the idea to start this? Just like, did you see a different site that was similar?
Guilty Chef started working. So it'll be interesting to see what the Ahrefs data shows us. But Guilty Chef started to work And when it started to work, I had already been in, so I moved to Dubai around the time I was building it actually. So I literally moved to Dubai here, right? And I started to build the project and I started to see results around here. And then I was like, hold on a second, like this is interesting. This hadn't even started fully growing yet, but just some results. Around that time, I'd been in Dubai long enough to know that, okay, I'm always looking for places to eat, places to visit. There's not actually any great directory. And if you go to like Dubai's actual tourism site, it doesn't have, like, it's very, their directory is very basic, right? And it's very bloggy. It's like, it's not really immersive. And so I thought, okay, that's interesting. And so then I thought to myself, I started brainstorming and I started to brainstorm loads of words, but I didn't brainstorm best Dubai. It was like best restaurants Dubai or best things in Dubai, things, because I never thought the domain would be available. And then from out of nowhere, I just actually searched bestdubai.com and the domain was available for like $900.
That's the best feeling in the world. When you type it in and you're like, it's not going to be available. I know it's not, but I just have to. And then it is. You like, you've never clicked buy faster. Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, TexasSnacks.com, SendEats.com.
Oh, wow.
I've got
What's that second one? SendEats.
SendEats.
Okay.
Like ship food.
Yeah. Oi, that's nice.
It was a company that shipped food. So,
dude, sometimes the domain will like just like spawn the idea for you. Like it will just come from just like a cool domain.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I own the domain twiceused.com. And like I thought someone could have like an Etsy for upcycled stuff, you know?
And so bestdubai.com was available, $900. And then the interesting thing was I then searched like other domain names similar for other countries and other towns. So like bestsaudi.com, for example, was $100,000. And so when I saw the price difference, I was like, first of all, this is going to be like a very valuable domain. And secondly, I can't believe it's available. So like I didn't talk to no one. I was like, I'm not going to tell no one. I'm just going to buy it. And once I've got it, then I've got it. And so I bought it, got access. I was like, okay, I still couldn't believe it. And then it was like the mission to be like, okay, well, what can we turn this .com into? And so with this one was focused a bit more like restaurants, hotels, malls, schools. Again, all this content AI generated. So like AI is aggregating Google reviews. AI is going and, getting the, giving it a scoring system, picking up amenities and check-in times and maps and all this type of content, the FAQs. And again, all of that is being connected to schema. So like you'd have a schema for, local business. And I'll just say to Cursor, hey, I've got a local business site. I need schema implemented, and it'll just write the schema. We've started to see some meaningful organic results now. So again, $0 paid on advertising, costing basically nothing to build. Like when I say nothing, I mean like less than $100 or something. And so if you go to, let's say we type in one of the keywords like Parker's is like a big restaurant here. Type in like Parker's Dubai reviews, we're number 2 below TripAdvisor now.
Wow.
In Google. And so that's, coming up above Facebook, Zomato, Reddit, all these other sites, OpenTable.
Okay. So if someone wanted to start a directory from scratch today, can you just show us like what your first steps would be? How would you start? What tools would you look to? How would you do research, et cetera?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I think Ahrefs is absolutely a great tool to use just to do keyword research, first of all. So I think like go and explore keywords and then try and find domain names as close as possible to the .com, because I do think that gives you an added advantage. And so instantdomainsearch.com is a great tool to use, because if I just type the reason it's cool is because it gives you all the different like URLs available like from one search. So you can see like the .com and like any other, ones you like, and the green ones obviously available. And so I love just using this site to find domains. Once you've got a domain and you've got, the keyword, so spend some time on keyword research, like really try and see like, what are the interesting trends here, and what you want to look for, just as a rule of thumb, are keywords with a low keyword difficulty and a higher search volume. And so if we actually looked right now here and we said, let's just say, I don't know, snacks, and just search that since you mentioned snacks.
Do you have like a general ratio you look for? Like it needs to be under X difficulty and over Y search volume?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say you want a keyword difficulty between 0 and 30. And so what I would do is I'd come in here and I would go KD, keyword difficulty between 0 and 30. And then I would start there. And then the higher the search volume, the better. So this is actually crazy, by the way. Look at this. So like it's very rare you see something like this.
Wow. High protein snacks, 9 keyword difficulty, 81,000 monthly searches.
So that's a snatch. Like if you can get like highproteinsnacks.com. So like literally, let's see. Like if you can buy that, like that's worth a shot. Like considering the type of investment that people put into businesses, like people sometimes I think about domain names as like, how to price them or whatever. But I think like if you were generally start a business, like a small business, minimum $10,000, you'd be considering like maybe I'm going to invest in starting a business, right? Like if you get a small business loan. And so in this type of age where you can build things with AI and directories, like if I saw, I would absolutely buy this if I saw that type of, this type of thing.
It's $7,000.
Yeah.
The domain.
This would kill it though.
I love the strategy of searching for a very broad keyword.
Yeah.
And then looking at what it shows you and like letting your rabbit holes go crazy from that point, right?
Yeah, because also it can inspire like different ideas as well. So, 0 to 30 is a good keyword difficulty. And for search volume, by the way, this is why I'm saying this is crazy, is because normally I would say even like 1,000 is like good, right? Because
for
like
search
if
volume?
you can, yeah, like,
and this is 81,000.
This is 81,000, yeah. So like, because if you see a lot of the keywords in my sites, like they just aggregate. So like if I go into, where were we, like here?
Yeah, because there's going to be a long tail of hundreds or thousands of variations of that keyword.
Exactly.
Right? You're not only relying on toddler snacks.
Exactly. So like, look, spicy Korean Q Wingstop. Like, I'll just show you. Like, we're ranking this is all the pages we're ranking number 1 for. So like, these are all number 1 in Google organic, right? And so like,
wow,
volume. Like we only get 30 for Nobu Wagyu tacos, but keyword difficulty 0. Even this one, I remember you get 42 visitors a month from this Wingstop, but like, its volume is 80, but keyword difficulty 0 in number 1. And again, there's loads of those that are 0, 0, 0, but like we're getting like 300, 250, 400, and they just aggregate. And again, this goes on for pages. So we've got pages of just like, number 1 position, just using this strategy. Now, the thing is, like, I think especially since recently, I've been seeing how quickly you can build projects using Cursor. Like these 2 projects were built using Webflow for their interface. And then I used Cursor and Claude Code for some of like these kind of like HTML elements. What I realized recently was to actually build things with Claude Code and Cursor was cool, but I'm a designer, but I couldn't create something beautiful. And you probably heard that there's this thing of AI slop, right? Like people just creating like, just crazy things that AI renders. But if you look at this side, and we can go into a bit of this with some live building in a minute, but all the UI here was built using Cursor and Claude Code. So none of this is using Figma. Nothing here is using a single design tool. Like every single thing you're seeing here is done just through natural language. And the fascinating thing to me was simply the fact that I can just use my creativity in my mind. And so long as I can explain it, I can get an output. And I think that's such a big lesson for people to take away. Even if you're building a directory or whatever, it's like, yes, domain is important. Keyword research is important, but this is like a stack of skills that you got to build up, and you got to like look within yourself and think, okay, well, do I have a broad taste palette for what a good website or experience looks like? And if you do, then great. You should be able to explain that. Then it's about the communication. And so long as you can like take inspiration from other sites or other things you've seen and be able to just simply type it into a tool like Cursor right here, you can get outputs like this, but simply by saying to it, hey, can you add a blue card at the top of this card and also do this, and it will just create it for you.
Do you only use Cursor for projects like this, or do you use Replit, Lovable, etc.?
No, I just use Cursor and Claude Code. I find them much easier than Replit and Lovable, I think.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we pretend that we're going to launch highproteinsnacks.com, and can you go to Claude Code and show us like what you would prompt, how you would start to do this?
Yeah, so I'll do it inside. I'll just create a section of this site since I'm already on it. So let's assume that we're setting up a new site. So first of all, if you were to start and you came onto 5 Days Spring with a new project, I would go here and I would type like, I have the domain highproteinsnacks.com. Then you can add inspiration, which is really cool. So you can take any site as inspiration. So you could like just use Airbnb as an example and say,
you could ask it first, like, what are 10 sites that have beautiful design? Cool.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
my inspiration. If you don't feel like you have a good design taste, just ask it what good design is and then use that as inspiration.
Perfect. And you can do stuff like that just in a separate ChatGPT or Claude chat as well, by the way. So I might say, I like the layout, whatever. Let's just keep it simple. And you hit start research. Now it will go and do research for the features you need in your product, because sometimes, again, like if you're thinking about the type of, when you're starting a startup, and, Chris, I'm sure when you're starting startups as well, even traditionally, like my previous startup, I had to go and raise, I think it was like 200K. We raised like seed angel round. And then, that most of that was just for people. And like now when I'm building, I'm like, hold on a second, like I don't need any of that stuff. So actually it's like I wouldn't have needed any of that money if AI was around then, because just things like speccing out features and getting someone to project manage and to execute, that was like a large part of my budget, which was going on technical things like that. And so this just in seconds did your research for you, so it figures out, comprehensive marketplace and discovery platform for high protein snacks, helping fitness enthusiasts and health conscious consumers. And then it also picks out the features that you might want. So, do you want email registration, guest browsing? Do you want an admin dashboard? For your product, how do you want, what cool. database do you want? Price tracking, stock availability. And so you can just pick and choose. And then you could just, add feedback if you want. So you can say, I want a live, shopping streaming feature. And apply feedback, and it will just go and it will like rework that. So you can just kind of go back and forth like you might with ChatGPT and just pick out the features you want. Now, the difference with Lovable and tools like Replit are, if you want something that out of the box is going to just create the entire thing for you, essentially, then like I would say, go that route, because if you don't really like kind of want to go into technical too much, but there's very little amount of technical skill you need to be able to do something like this. And I would in fact not even call it technical. I would just call it something as simple as like being able to think logically, right? Like if you can think logically, it's like you do this and then you do that. So like first we're going to think about our features, which is obvious. And then we're going to go and set up our project. Great. And then we're going to go and build out one feature. Then we're going to build another feature and another feature. But what AI is doing, it's helping you create that structure. It's helping you create that plan, which otherwise a product manager or a designer would do, right? And then just through here, like, you can go in here now and it will also automatically suggest AI capabilities to add to your project. So, generate product descriptions and marketing copy. And all you have to do is click here and say, okay, I want Anthropic, which is with the guys that run Claude, to generate that content for you. So if you looked at Best Dubai, like this content is generated using Anthropic Claude. But I had to spend considerable amount of time, maybe like, I say considerable, but it's probably like, 4 days or so, just like researching the content I wanted, then working with AI to get the perfect prompts and then working those prompts. But here, you can just put in your API key and it will just generate all the content for you. Same way if you want images, if you want to create visually appealing product images, you can do that. You can just pick your image model and we will just keep adding new ones. So we're going to add Google's new image model in there, etc., video generation, voice AI, whatever you want. And then when you hit continue, it just explains to you simply how to install Cursor and GitHub, which are like, these things will probably take you less than 5 minutes altogether to set up. And then your database. So all your data has to sit and store somewhere, right? And so this was something, again, for someone like me who was kind of, had a bit of idea of being technical, but I'm not a programmer at all.
Yeah.
I understand what databases are. And so effectively, they're just like a spreadsheet. So if you understand how to use Excel or Google Sheets, that's basically a database. And every single database has multiple tables, which is the equivalent of like different sheets, right? And so a database is simply just rows and columns. And so Supabase is a software that basically creates those rows and tables for you, but has all the security implementations built in, all those type of things, so it can actually work as a web project, right? And so we've just made it super simple. So you can just hit connect Supabase and you can just connect to your account straight away. So again, when I was doing this originally, I had to go and get 4 or 5 different types of keys from my database and put those in. But you just hit one button here and it will straight away just connect your account. And then you'll just pick whichever project in your database you want to use. So we can just use this test one. And it'll automatically pick up your keys, your project URL, all the different keys that you need. You hit continue and you're done. And you can hit generate framework. And now it's going to go and just create the framework for you. That's going to help you just set up the entire project in Cursor. So when you open up Cursor by default, you're going to get a blank screen. And that's what's like quite daunting for people, is like, okay, where do I start? Because even when I was building, it's like, okay, yes, we understand, we might know what HTML is or CSS or whatever, but like, if you think about the modern web, they use frameworks that are like, they call Next.js or Tailwind CSS, or these some technical elements.
And I have no clue what any of that means.
By the way, not even to this day, I don't really understand them properly at all.
And I think most of my audience is like a little technical, but definitely not a software engineer, kind of like me, right?
Exactly like us. Yeah, man. So this is why. So I set up this entire framework so that you can just simply just take this, you get rendered this one string, you just hit copy here, and you're going to go into Cursor, and all you're going to do is hit paste and hit enter. And then what you're going to see in literally, we won't do it. I've got ourselves a new project to run it all, but what you will see is an entire project being set up for you. Actually, you know what? Let's actually try and do it. So let me just open a new project. If not, then we'll just fall back to the other version. So we just go here. Let's go into here and let's say protein snacks. Open. I'm going to hit this and hit paste. Okay. So that it said setting up the framework for you. So now what you'll see is you'll just see files just start coming up here on the left, which are all of the, it's basically like, it's the equivalent of, in technical terms, maybe 3 months of like a CTO level of work that is doing for you in the next 2 minutes. So it's already set up folders for you here, right? Using Next.js. So it understands that's a framework we want to use. By the way, you can use Next.js to build games. You can build any application. You can build software. Like you name it, you can build it. You can build Facebook using this. You can build x.com using this. You can build Instagram using this. Whatever you want, you can build using this. And so it will just run and it will just set up the entire infrastructure for us to be able to just, go ahead and just start building. And so let me just explain the UI system, by the way. So by UI, we mean user interface. So you're seeing here all these different design elements, right? And so I'm a designer, and even me as a designer, I didn't know how to design through natural language. I only knew how to design by using design tools like Figma or Framer. And then I started researching and I found that there's different libraries, like ShadCN is a library, for example, which has pre-built components like beautiful charts and
ShadCN.com. Okay.
ShadCN.com, correct. And it's purpose-built so that you can just basically just create this is like Slack type of application, with everything already designed and built. And then it has all of the different components. So you want a beautiful slider, it has a slider built into it as a component. But still, but still there's like a technical element to it, right? Which is like installation. Yeah. And then you see this, and then it just throws you off. And so again, inside this framework, within this one prompt, it starts installing ShadCN for you. And so it sets up the entire infrastructure for you. So you've got a whole framework with UI set up and everything ready to go. And that's how we get an interface like this. Because look, this is ShadCN. Like I just showed you, but it's just got a blue background and my design on it, And I'm using elements from ShadCN, like the buttons and everything are from this framework, but it's all pre-built. So as soon as this is installed, we can just go in and say, okay, now do this for me. So I'm going to stop this right now, so it saves us some time. But that would run for 5 minutes or so, and it would just set up the project. And then what you'd get is just like a blank canvas like this, but without content.
I've been using Beehive for about 2 years, almost as long as they've been around. And I got to tell you, watching other creators stay stuck on basic newsletter platforms is painful. You're losing thousands of dollars because you don't know what your subscribers are worth. And when potential sponsors ask, who reads your newsletter? And you say, entrepreneurs or moms, you lost the deal. But Beehive has a survey feature that's brilliant. You can set up a few questions about demographics and spending habits that you send them through right after they subscribe. So instead of telling sponsors, oh, I have 5,000 subscribers, you can say, I have 3,750 homeowners making over $75,000 a year who spend $200 plus per month on home improvement. And that's proof that their ideal customers are reading your newsletter. Go extract your email list from whatever platform you're stuck on because it's probably costing you thousands in lost deals. Beehive makes migration easy. You can move all your emails in minutes so you can get paid what you're actually worth. Head to beehive.com/Chris for 30% off your first 3 months. That's BEEHIV.com/Chris. You'll thank me later.
And so if I open up this actual project right now, let me just run the server.
You're back in Cursor here.
Back in Cursor, I've just opened up basically this project we're looking at here, my 5-day sprint project, just because it'll be quicker for us to just build something. But we'll build the directory in here. So if you want to now talk to Claude, all you're going to do is you're going to go terminal, new terminal, and you're just going to type Claude and hit enter. And now you've got Claude code. I don't want me to accept terms. Yeah, okay. Now you've got Claude code ready to go. So you'll get given, if you run local server, so I just said kill and run local server. Basically, that's just a way of saying kill any tasks that are running and run my local server. A local server is basically a URL that runs without you needing a domain name, right? And so if I copy this and I paste it into my browser, I can see my website immediately, right? The beauty of this is that any changes I make, you will see in real time. And so why that's amazing when you're building these type of things is it's just as fast, if not faster, than actually sitting there drawing boxes and changing things, because you can just say it to Claude Code and it will do it. So we'll do that right now. So I'm going to say, let's do it in the admin section so the public don't see it. So I'm going to say, this is how you literally talk to it. So imagine it set up a whole project for you. You'll have files like this all set up once you run the prompt. And I'm going to say in the admin menu on the left main navbar, I literally talk to it like this, like just super, in my own language. But in the admin menu on the left main navbar, I want you to add a new section the same way we have marketing, live stream, etc., but called protein directory. Call it snacks directory. So I'm just going to say that right now. So this is an example of systems thinking, which is what people sometimes do is they go in and they try and, give it like too many tasks at once, and then it trips up, right? And so what you want to do is you just want to compartmentalize. No, don't do that. So you want to you are the master, right? Like you have to trust your own intelligence. And this is, I speak to a lot of people in our community about this as well, which is we are overestimating sometimes the ability of AI, the intelligence of AI, just because of the word artificial intelligence. Yes, it's intelligent in terms of how much information it has ingested, but the nuance of how you would think and build things, you are still better at it than that. So we are very much more intelligent still than AI due to nuances. And so we'll let it run. And so what you'll see now, if you just look here in a moment, we should in real time see a new option just turn up here. So I'm not even touching the screen anymore. And so this is an example of just building live. You just say to it, add a menu item, and it will just do it. So unless it needs to confirm any questions with me, which sometimes it wants to, but it should be fine.
And we can...
There you go. So snacks directory is there. Manage snacks. So it's created a page. There's no content on it because we only told it to create us the menu directory. And in fact, it still tried to be too smart and create an extra thing, but it's fine. So I might go to Cursor, and I'll go to Cursor, and I will say, I am building. So by the way, how you want to think about this is Cursor over here. And so Cursor is the software which has its own chat in it. Again, just using the Claude model. In here, we have the terminal using Claude Code. But even though they're inside the same software, these two chats don't talk to each other. So this thing over here has no idea what this did. And this has no idea what this does. And so the way the framework is also built up, so when you install this, all of the configurations of how to get them to talk to each other are also built in, because this is what I struggled with. And so I just built it all into this. So basically, when I speak to Claude Code, speak to Cursor about something on the right here, I might do market research with it. I might help it, set up things for me, but then Claude Code will be the executor, right? And then Claude Code will give me feedback. I'll give that feedback to Cursor, and Cursor sort of make sure that all the work is done correctly. So here's a small example of how I'd use it just to set up a basic page. So I'll say I'm building a protein snacks directory. It needs to be optimized for SEO. We can rank #1 in Google. I want you to use Firecrawl to conduct live research on my market. So this is really cool because I'll explain to you guys just in a minute what this does. I don't know why it's bringing up broad cities. Conduct live research on my market. Write a prompt for Claude Code to generate a product page with SEO implemented. So that's a small SEO and content implemented. So this is a small version of a prompt. But let's let that run. Let's just make sure it can access Firecrawl. So Firecrawl, let's just see what it does first. So what we're basically getting it to do is just do some research. We're saying to it, don't execute. Don't write any files. We don't want you to do anything. This is what Claude Code does. We just want you to go and research and then come back to me with what you figure out. So it goes, I help you build SEO optimized protein stacks. It figures out its own plan. Now, Firecrawl is basically a tool you can use. So firecrawl.dev is a tool you can use that can go and search live data from the web, right? And you can use it directly inside Cursor. You can also use it.
It reformats websites.
Oh, yeah. It goes scrapes the data. So you can literally say to it, here's TripAdvisor.com, understand everything they do and how they do it. Imagine you are the greatest SEO hacker in the world. Fetch all of the information you need to be able to create an even better site to rank well on Google, right? And it will go and do that, right? And so look, it's going and using Firecrawl to do a search. It's analyzing everything comprehensively, like doing a whole protein snack research that, just going on and doing. So we'll let it conduct that. And just as an example, like
that
using
is powerful.
Firecrawl and Cursor. Oh yeah, man. And what's
I've
even
never
more
heard
crazy?
Like just that firecrawl.dev, that little tip alone is worth the price of admission for this free video, right? Like,
dude,
huge.
Yeah. Firecrawl is crazy. It's like one of the sweetest things that you can use. And it's so easy. I still haven't paid a dollar to date. I like it. I've done so much stuff with it. So there you go. It's gone and given us our research. So it says, okay, based on my extensive market research, so this entire prompt is written, create a comprehensive SEO optimized protein stacks directory page that can rank number one in Google. Based on SEO research, mandatory SEO optimization, target primary keywords, best protein stacks 2024. This is probably because all the like kind of AI models like Claude and everything are like normally trained on like data a bit, prior to today. So we might need to ask it to redo it for 2025 if we want to, but we'd run it like this for now. Secondary keywords. So it also goes and checks what other keywords like healthy protein bars, muscle building snacks. These are popular searches. Meta titles, descriptions. Look, use schema markup. So the entire thing I told you guys earlier about using schema markup, I had to go and figure this out myself. Like no one from TripAdvisor came and told me how to rank next to them in Google. I had to go and work it out, right? But if you just go into here, it will do all this type of stuff for you. The content structure, everything. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to completely blind copy it. So I'm going to copy this. This is a prompt. It's written us. And you'll notice in a minute, I'll show you something interesting. I'm just going to hit enter. Cool. So I'm just going to send it to Claude Code. So now Claude Code has an entire prompt from Cursor. Now, the interesting thing here is out of the box, Cursor won't write a prompt for Claude Code for you, and it won't know how to structure it to be able to get a meaningful output. Inside this 5-day sprint framework, when you've entered that one-liner into Cursor, it already tells it within that to use ShadCN and UI components. So it knows that we want to use these UI components to design our site. It also tells it that after you complete your tasks, give me some feedback, because then we want to give that feedback to Cursor. So that's all built in so that you have this kind of seamless relationship between the two tools. And again, this was just through trial and iteration of me using it to know that, hold on, we need to communicate between both tools. We also need to use the right design elements. And so hopefully, let's just see, when people say like one-shotting an app, this is going to be an example of that. Let's see if we can just one-shot a page that works.
And describe to the listeners or viewers what one-shotting means.
Yeah, so one-shotting is like just hitting a prompt like we just did into a tool like Cursor or Claude Code and just letting it just work. And just seeing
prompt to like finished product in one prompt.
Yeah, and it's very possible, by the way. Like there are now, if you're getting complex with using databases and like this is not connecting to a live database for information. This is just like creating the page for us. So like landing pages is great for maybe like single like use applications, like uploading a picture and like converting it to something using API. Things like that are like great for like one-shot type apps. But like if you're building something like like something that's got multiple layers, like a directory, there's no such versions like one prompt and just create the whole directory for you. It will create like this is the product page we're creating right now. It could create a different version of something else, like page by page. So this is the let's just see what page it's creating it on. So it's just running. So what it's doing, so you can sometimes read this and it's pretty interesting. Like Claude Code is just working right now. So what's it done is writing some files. It's written the SEO descriptions for us. It's written the SEO titles for us. It's imported the design elements here. You can see it's importing the button, badge, input, separator, tabs, a card. So again, blind, I don't know what it's doing. All I know is that so this is like the $1 billion thing it's doing right now. And it will just be doing it for like maybe 1 minute, right? And that alone is what will lead you to charts like we just saw,
Well, people don't realize that sites like TripAdvisor and Yelp have not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, millions of pages that took billions of dollars of software engineering and a decade of grinding. And don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a lot of grinding to create millions of pages with a vibe coding app, but it can be done for 99% less and 99% faster today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing. I'm spinning out products like daily, right? Like the directory, the best to buy, like I will probably build a new one within 2 or 3 days. We'll rebuild it and make it even better and get to rank even better in Google. And so this is where, Chris, a guy like you is perfect for your type of brain, right? Someone who has ideas, wants to wake up, bed and just execute. Like this is made for the people who have ideas. And I'm sure, everyone in the audience is like that, where they're just like, I want to execute this. And then you actually can execute quicker and prove your point and demo it to someone faster than actually just saying, hey, like, what do you think about this idea? You know, like, don't, if your gut says do it, just execute, and you will, the time it's going to take to try and explain it to someone, you can just get the job done.
Yeah. Let's say that, for instance, to get this site up and running takes 3 hours of tinkering and vibe coding, right? It's not perfect, but it's good enough to hit publish and to put it on a custom domain. If you wanted to take that site and you like the look of it, you like the database that it's pulling from, but you just want to make like ketotoddlersnacks.com, okay? Or something entirely different, like horsefeed.com, right? Whatever. How many hours or how much effort do you think it would take to use one of these apps to just copy and paste it in a different vertical?
Do you want to see?
If the first version took 3 hours, how long would the next site take? Because I'm still waiting for a good reason why people aren't vibe coding like thousands of directory sites. Like not a directory site with thousands of pages, but thousands of them.
Okay, so let's say we had this project here called Protein Snacks. If I right click and I click duplicate, and my new site is called duplicate, 10 seconds, 5 seconds. Okay, that was like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds maybe. And now I can rename this to, you know, toddler snacks. You're done. That's it. That's the answer to your question.
Well, so I guess you still got to swap out like pictures and branding and stuff, right?
Yes, but that, like, the features, the functionality, they all live. This is a beautiful thing about Cursor and Claude Code, is creating files, like it's files for you, like all these sites, like Facebook.com. It's just a series of files. Like, and just code written inside the files. Like, this is what it's creating for you. So it's creating an entire application. Like if someone says, oh, I exited my app for, like, you know, Snapchat for $15 billion, they sold a folder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like, yes, there's a database.
They sold
users,
pixels.
but that's like, that's it.
Like, yeah.
Right? It's not complicated, but also it's like, you know, this era right now of building allows us all to open our eyes and wake up and say, oh, like that's it.
Yeah.
Like that is really it. And now the tools that are available, you can create so much value as well with them. It's unbelievable,
now,
you know?
Now, the last time I posted the directory episode, some people in the comments were like, oh, this is irrelevant now. AI is removing the need for directories. What would you say to them?
No, not at all, man. I think no, like we've just seen it ourselves. Like, look, by the way, we're seeing, right, this is like live data we're looking at, right? With like these sites that I just showed you guys as well. I don't know where it's gone now. These graphs where this is like in real time, it's growing, you know, it's still growing up. And so, man, absolutely not. There's like, and this is look, US is one of the biggest locations for traffic for us as well. You know, that's like a global market. So yeah, I'd say, you know, very much like directories are a moneymaker.
There's always going to be a need to remove friction to getting from point A to point B, from getting question asked to question answered, right? And directories just makes that easier. Period. End of story. People ask about like AI SEO, and there's many a guru out there selling like AI SEO courses. But really, at the end of the day, good SEO is good AI SEO. Like it's really the same thing.
Yes. Yeah, because there's a misconception right now where the obvious kind of argument is, well, search engines are going to die and everyone's using ChatGPT. First of all, that no one's killing off Google right now. You know what I mean? Like, so really, like average Joes, like, you know, no matter what we've achieved, like we're not $1 trillion company, right? So like we don't have any right to bet against them or like say anything. Let them do what they're doing, and they're going to fight to protect themselves. Let them do it. And also the space we're in, we're seeing how volatile it is in terms of the businesses. Like, you know, OpenAI one day is hyping something up and then, you know, it falls a bit short, and then Google feels like it's falling behind and it kills it with the image model. Like it's a constant, you know, tug of war between different companies. So let people do what they're doing. The search is very much around, and even this same strategy schema is what is being used to pull up data inside ChatGPT and Claude as well. So if you go into, let's open up ChatGPT right now, and let's just type in, you know, give me a recipe for Wingstop Korean Q wings, right? And let's just see what it comes out with. I don't know if I put the web search version on, but let's see.
Don't get me started on ChatGPT 5.
Oh, man. I know. You know what? I actually haven't even used it that much. Like I've been using Claude so much, but people have been telling me it's like horrible. Look at the what?
Yeah.
This is fast internet as well. Okay. So let's just let this run for a second, but let's see. So this is ChatGPT just giving us information, okay? So now let's say, give me your sources. So ironic, like such a pun as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. So,
I mean, how long ago did Google add that feature where it will answer your question for you without you having to click through a website? That was
yeah, I think it
5
was
years
pretty
ago.
recently.
I feel like it was not the AI answers. I'm talking about if you ask like,
Oh, right. All right. Yeah.
what's the capital of
boxes?
Malaysia? And it would just, instead of clicking through what, back then everyone was like, oh, like websites are dead. Google doesn't want us to click through to. It's like, no, websites are doing great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
ChatGPT has, what is it, like hundreds of millions of daily active users, and to everyone saying like Google's dying, Google's dead, go to SimilarWeb, type in google.com. They're great. They're doing fine.
Yeah.
There's still billions of people using Google every day.
Dude, and like there's such an important, I think one of the biggest keywords that I learned that had a massive impact on like the outcomes that I've got in my businesses is 2 words: value capture. Meaning like there are times when there's shifts happening and things are going on where there's a tremendous amount of value capture opportunity, right? Like, while this is all happening right now, yes, there are some businesses that are just AI wrappers that maybe in 2 years might be killed by a ChatGPT app or a Canva app or something, but it doesn't matter. Like right now, you can capture an audience. Like you can get direct to your audience through social media. You can go viral for something just by posting reels and being engaging. You can create, and also we underestimate how many people are on the planet. There's so many people with different problems they're trying to solve, so many niches within niches that you can just tap into and just create so much value and capitalize on it, and not only that, by the way, forget even the product conversation, like just showing what I've just showed you guys right now. For example, like this, the projects I'm showing you, I'm doing as hobbies, but in my agency, we're doing projects worth millions of dollars using these type of skill sets, right? Where businesses will come to us and say, hey, can you build this for us? We've got such and such problem. I would go through a process using Claude Code and Cursor, but the price tag you can put on that skill set is insane, right? Like insane. Like there's projects that we've charged $100,000 for, and they've been done in like 5 days, and that's like incomprehensible. It's like better than drug money,
Well,
and just by learning these skills, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to compare it to something.
No. I mean, think of apps like Calendly, right?
Yeah.
Like this guy in Atlanta built Calendly. Nothing did it like that. Now there's a million Calendly clones. And then about 2 years ago, Google comes out with their own Calendly feature. And everyone's like, Calendly's dead. It's dead. Calendly's crushing it. Like first movers advantage, having a moat, having traction, having loyal customers is very, very real, right? And the other framework that I kind of just thought of is, let's say you build a wrapper today that becomes obsolete in 2 years. But that wrapper was like the first thing you really built with your hands, and it feels good. And it got you kind of addicted to that feeling of building and creating. By the time that app or whatever it is that you built 2 years from now becomes obsolete, you won't care because you'll be on project number 9 by then. It will be irrelevant to you. And that's the whole point. Like we don't build a wrapper to retire with it. We build a wrapper to taste entrepreneurship and to become addicted to it, and then to build things that only get better in time.
That's the best point, I think, of this whole episode, man, is what you just said right there. It's like the value of the skill and the experience.
Quick question. What if there were a private community out there of people that were building businesses based on this podcast? Well, I just made it. And it's only for business starters and business builders. It's called TK Owners. And it's basically like having me and 100 other business geniuses as your business partner. Also, there's going to be exclusive new trends, growth hacks, business ideas, and a database of everything I've ever talked about. You'll find thousands of startup case studies. You'll have weekly Ask Me Anythings with me while I'll answer your questions directly. You can join now at tkowners.com, link in the show notes.
I said at the very beginning, like how I'm feeling now is like, I can't compare it to any type of thing I felt before, whether it's building or designing or creating, like by building with AI. I think everyone should experience it just to know the feeling I'm talking about. It's like when you experience something and like you can't explain it to someone else unless they've experienced it, right? Like any type of experience, whether it's traveling or whatever. I think this is like that, which is you've got to do it and you'll feel a very particular feeling. It's like an ignition being started in your body.
Yeah.
Of like, whoa, It's like a whole new brain unlock, because you don't realize how many times our brain actually just stops at idea and doesn't go further than that, because we already know in ourselves, well, I'm not technical, I can't afford to get a developer. And so we just like kind of be like, meh, and we just kind of carry on. And then if someone else does it, we kind of look at it a bit jealous, right? Like
Yeah.
it's been that human condition for so many years that we've got to unwind that. And to undo that, you've got to start building. And in fact, you will unlock such a new version of yourself that is confident, a version of yourself that starts building and creating. And you actually feel like happier around the world. I feel like so much more energized for my family and loved ones because I'm having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the results are in real time, by the way. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever heard a story like on Twitter or anywhere, or read an article about an entrepreneur that built something that later became irrelevant and he just like became broke, penniless, declared bankruptcy and died a miserable man? I've never read that story. Right. I've read stories about, I built this app and then Facebook like put me out of business. And by the time they're telling that story, they're a billionaire from something else. It just doesn't happen.
Yes, absolutely, man. And you probably experienced that so many times with your businesses, right? It's all like you only go upwards like that, you fail up.
Well, and on the other side of that argument is the opposite, where like in 2010, I opened an iPhone repair store and I was just like counting down the days. I'm like, these screens are going to become unbreakable or they're going to change, technology is evolving so fast. Like I got to get it while the getting's good. And I sold it 2 years later and I don't regret that. And then I got into the iPhone parts sales business where I sold wholesale iPhone parts. And I had the same fear. I'm like, I'm in the same vertical. I'm just higher up the supply chain and these are become unbreakable. And then I'd read an article about Gorilla Glass or this new OtterBox case. It's like, yep, any day now. Guess what? It's been 15 years. There's 30,000 iPhone repair shops. All of my competitors that sold iPhone parts are like, many of them are still around. They're crushing it. Like most opportunities stick around for a while. And so when we make these excuses like, why would I build a wrapper? It's redundant to ChatGPT. It's going to be out. There's 1,000 recipe wrapper apps on the App Store. Right? Like you need to understand that that's not a real excuse. That's you coming up with excuses to feel better about not doing it. So you can go to bed that night and think, you know what? I didn't build that wrapper, but it's okay because it would have failed. So I'll just try something else. Like, no, just freaking do it. Like it's like $20 a month for these software products.
True. So, like, even when they release like a max plan, like $200 a month, people are like $200. Like, yeah, but you're comparing it to a Spotify subscription. Like you got to look at the productivity value. Like,
how much was your tuition? $2,000 a month at university?
Crazy. And you can learn like that in like a week now. And the fact that if a CTO came to you, you're trying to hire a developer and go to an agency and pay $100,000 to an agency or like 10 grand a month to like a developer. And they came to you and said, hey, I'll do this work for you, but I'll bring 10 of my other amazing friends who also do this. So you get 100 grand's worth of value a month, but I'll give it to you for like $200. You'd build that person a home to live with you. You know what I mean? Like that's literally what these like services are like. And by the way, your story reminded me of two things. One is I think it was at Belkin or Anker, like with the leads, because when they did when the iPhone was obviously out, they started releasing their own sort of like accessories and stuff. And one of the biggest questions that he'd get asked from investors were like, well, Apple are just going to release their own and just put them in their stores. And I think his insight was so simple but interesting, which was, let's say the iPhone accessories market is like a $2 billion market. That's like not a market worth going for a company the size of Apple, right? And so even about $2 billion market to like nobody is like a $2 billion market. And so he created an entire lane just by taking a part of a market that big company otherwise wouldn't even need to go for because it's not worth their time. And so sometimes we like can discount like how valuable ideas are, whether they're worth pursuing, because we just think that someone else might do it because within their business, itself.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I think like the time we're in is the most related best to the way Jeff Bezos set up Amazon, and not from a cliche perspective, just from a very, very like, clear example. He explains that when he set up Amazon, like he saw this sort of uptick in internet usage, and then he figured that so much of the infrastructure had already been built for him, like the postal service existed, payment processing existed, now the internet existed. And so all he had to do is kind of like, put a wrapper around them. And so
ride the tidal wave.
Dude, Amazon is a wrapper. You know what I mean? Yeah. In like a lot of ways. And so because you're just tying together infrastructure. And so APIs, these aren't postal services, aren't credit. You have Stripe. It's one string of like numbers that you need to integrate into your app. Like OpenAI, same. The API keys are all you need to be able to stitch these things together and be able to explain to Cursor or Claude Code what you want to do with them. And you can kill it.
Almost every business is a wrapper. And when you're talking about Amazon, I was thinking about the biggest companies in the world that are consumer brands. back to the conversation about paying $200 a month for the most expensive version of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Let's look at the most valuable consumer brands in the world. Apple. Why are they so valuable? Because the products they sell, back to value capture, offer a 100x differential on what it costs versus the value people get out of it, right? My $3,000 MacBook Pro is going on year 5. It runs like the day I bought it. Like, how much wealth have I created on that little keyboard, right? That's why
I never
Apple
think of it
is
like
so
that.
great.
That's wild.
So if you want to think of
true.
the most, like, they become so valuable, I should say, like, the market cap of a company is directly correlated to the amount of value that their products offer people. So if Apple wanted to be stingy, right, and say, you know what, our customers get so much value out of these MacBook Pros, we're going to make them $30,000 because they're still going to get 10x value out of them instead of 100x. They wouldn't be as valuable. Period. End of story. They wouldn't sell as many of them, and their net market cap as a result of this change would drop significantly. So with that same framework, OpenAI, like 4 years in, is worth $500 billion. They're not even publicly traded yet. Their last round was $500 billion. One take is like, oh my gosh, we're so frothy right now. We're recession coming. We're at the top. And the other take is like, whatever they're selling to consumers, I need to buy, because that valuation is directly correlated to the value that their products offer. So whatever the most expensive plan is, I want a 100x return on my investment. Why would I pay for the $20 a month plan? Now, this is assuming that you use it and it doesn't just sit there unused. If you use it on a regular basis, you might as well go to the most expensive monthly version and treat it as a Harvard education, because that's a lot more than $200 a month.
Dude, that's where people like you come in, man. With like free content like this that's out there for people to get.
Yeah.
You know, there's no room that you can walk into to get that type of information that you're providing, you know, video after video, you know, everything you're saying on this episode as well, man. That's what it is, you know, and you can ingest that. And again, you take that, then to your point, use the tools in the way you want to, but okay, I learned this from this episode. Now I'm going to do this over here. And like, that's how you're going to get your value, by like opening up your ears and your mind, and then like being creative in the way you execute with it.
Yeah. It's all on the internet.
When we did this search for this recipe in ChatGPT, I then asked it for its sources, and Guilty Chef was number 1. And so it goes to show that, like, I've been hearing people say as well, you need like llm.txt file. There's none of that in my thing. Like, I've got SEO schema. It's like you said, some of the HTML is broken right now. Like, I need to fix it. Like, it's even got bugs. Yeah, just ship the damn thing, and you're ranking number 1 on Google and number 1 on ChatGPT. And so just imagine if I just worked on this every day and like put more effort into it, like there's so many more things that could probably come off the back of it. But just with like a lazy approach, quote unquote, like you're out doing Reddit or, you know, TripAdvisor with Wingstop's own brand, you know, because they are not even like investing time into the right content or strategy. Yeah. Here's our protein snacks page.
Oh, cool. Okay. So we have a product.
Yeah. This is our one-shot output. So 50 plus best protein snacks.
Wow. That's incredible.
So yeah, probably needs a little bit of a UI work, but you can see it. So
that's incredible. Directory. And it's pulling in actual high protein snacks, RX bar, Quest Nutrition. It's funny that number 1, the chocolate chip cookie protein bar, I eat 2 of those every single day.
Oh, do you?
I survive on those.
Maybe even knows when to call.
They're good. They're good.
Like share, buy.
That is crazy.
So
and you could
again, look, this is all SEO content, by the way. You know,
you could just have affiliate links to the Amazon variants of these. That is crazy.
And then it has a comparison chart here. It's made. It's done a comparison UI for us. So like, you know, which one's the highest protein. Now, by the way, if you wanted to actually look protein per dollar, like it's just gone crazy with this. But if you wanted to, like, it's got a whole like lead capture form here.
Wow, protein per dollar filtering. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you even ask it to do that?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't ask it to do any of this type of stuff. Like, it just figured it out. Like, it just goes off and it just works. Because I told it to be like the best SEO. You saw my prompt. Like, my prompt was like tiny. It was like what I actually said. My words were like 1, 2, 3, 4 like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
You know, but then the framework. So because I installed the framework from here, basically, that gave me the entire prompt for Claude Code, which I just copy and pasted. So like this exact thing right here, this thing, like if I open up a text file, this is the prompt effectively to create that, right? Prompt for Claude Code. I don't know how to write that, but the most valuable way to use AI is to get the AI to talk to the AI. So you get it to write to itself, and so I'm saying to it, I'm going to Cursor and saying, this is what I want. It then goes and does research, says, okay, well, here's what you need to say to Claude Code, because Claude Code is the best at programming. And then because Claude Code is so good at programming and Cursor understands that it's talking to Claude Code, it knows how to talk to it, and it's already ingested what I want, that I've just given it 2 sentences, and it's from 2 sentences, it's created me this entire thing. And now from here, the protein calculator.
Oh my gosh, it's got an interactive calculator? Holy crap.
It actually works.
I mean,
well.
you could create like high iron drinks, low iron drinks, high carb snacks, low carbs. Like you can create hundreds of variants of just like the insert, macro nutrient plus type of food.
Crazy, right? And like now it hasn't even created like a single web page for us. But if I said to create a single page for one of these, it will do that in a few minutes. And then if I wanted to connect it to data, again, remember when we set this up, we already gave it our Superbase here. We gave it our Superbase credentials, which is our database, right? So you go to superbase.com and just connect it. And so now it already has a database. So if I said to it, now go into Superbase, create a table and connect live data to it using Firecrawler, it can go do research and put it in my database. And now I've got like live information that like users can use. So by the way, let me just show you a quick little thing here. Like if you want to change some of the design, so like, no, let's actually say we want to change some of the buy now button. So let's say I want the buy now. So now micro iterations, you can do directly Claude Code, right? So like these tiny little things, you don't need to keep going to Cursor. So Cursor is more for like building features, functionality, things like that. But like this is how I design now. So I might look at this. And by the way, another great hack for design is use Dribble. Like Dribble is basically like a designer's inspiration tool. But Dribble have this hidden page that used to be public, right? There's this page that no one on the site can you find it now, but the page is still public. It's /buckets. And the reason it's such a cool page is because these are effectively private folders that people are creating with things they like. And so it's like seeing people's private Pinterest pins. But these are people who are saving design things they like. And so I go, by the way, for context, I use Dribble religiously every morning. Like it's a part of just, I don't even have to think about it. I'm so obsessed with like visuals and design that this is just like I need to know what designs are looking like. And so you go in here and we can even type in something to search. But let's say I go here and I type in like, e-commerce, for example, and it will just give me a load of inspiration pages just for e-com design. And so I might see something here that I like the look of. Let's say, okay, great, I like this. So, we had to do an animation, didn't it? But let's say you find a page like you like the look of. You can use that as inspiration for your own site. So
you don't even need a paid account. Just copy paste.
You don't need a paid account. Well, what you can actually do is let's see if this works. I'm going to save image. I'm going to go to my project. Let's test this. I haven't done this type of thing in a while, so it'd be fun to see with you guys if it works. In here, let's just create a folder called design reference, and let's save it. And I'm going to say, let's see if you can pick up the colors and anything from here. So let's say, so you can see now, because I added it to my local file, Cursor is connected to your local, just your computer, right? So look, design reference has an image in there now. That image I just added. So I'm going to say, I've added a folder to the project called design reference with an image ref in it. I want you to take inspiration from this UI and apply it to the products grid UI. So we want to see if it can change this design based on this inspiration. So look, it will read the image now. So it'll find the image. There, it's reading the design image, reading image. So Claude Code can do that. It can look at the image visually, right? And it can try and figure out what's in there. Now we'll look at this page. So this is why designing like this is so cool, is because everything happens live. So you can go and find inspiration, you can put it in a folder and just tell Claude Code what you want, and we'll see what it does and what it comes out like. There you go. So it just updated the design for us. So it took this inspiration here that sent it. It picked out the key components, so the colors and everything, and then still applying some design styles here, but it's trying to copy as much of that as possible to get it to match what we saw. So you can just like throw in design inspiration as well, like and it'll just copy things. And so let me just stop it there for a minute, just show you something. Like if I said, change add to cart button to red and make borders square. Look, it's also changed the borders in other areas as well.
Yeah.
Based on, it just automatically just tries to figure
Pops
out how
more.
to match the styles. Yeah. I wanted square borders on the add to cart page. I wanted the square borders on add to cart button. So if it makes mistakes, you can also say to it, oh, I didn't want you to do that. I want you to do this. And it will just say, oh, sorry, and it can undo changes or whatever. See that it's just applied it to these pages, these buttons.
Yeah.
Here. But this is how I've designed this entire like platform. So like, everything here has been designed just using this type of like, way of speaking to it and iterating. But yeah, man, it's nuts.
Dude.
But you could just take this now and build out a whole directory.
It's so good. Like, I just want to
Cool, right?
cancel. I just like, Susan, cancel my calls. I'm building. I don't even know a Susan, but if I had an in-person assistant,
if you had a Susan.
she'd be Susan. Yeah. Dude, you've over-delivered. This is really good. This is going to be a banger. Thank you.
No,
where
pleasure,
can people
man.
find you or whatever you're building?
Yeah, man. You can go to 5daysprint.com using the number 5. If you want to do anything, the stuff I just showed you, like, you can just go to a new project, just sign up there, and you can just, generate your own project and then get that one-liner and you're good to go. And then school.com/5daysprint. I'll give you the links as well. But like, those are the 2 areas that you can jump in on and just connect with me.
We'll link to it.
For sure. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. What'd you think? Please share it with a friend and we'll see you next time on the Koerner Office.